a year ago, and you're going, wow, the Saints defense improved a year ago. Okay, so they went from being 35th or 36th ranked defense in the NFL because Alabama and a couple other college teams had better defenses than them to now they're 23rd or 24th. You improved, but I mean, okay, so the shit doesn't smell that bad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of people took away credit, basically from Eli saying it was his fault. I mean, I'm like, did anybody here ever play football or you forgot that? Basically, if you have an offensive line like the way he had, you're gonna get hit like the way he was getting hit. He had no time. By the time they went hike, he saw fingers right there next to his face mask or his body. The Cowboys, listen, I love my Cowboys defense, but damn, that offensive line, it was like, here, just go. Just go. He had no time.
That's why Pat Shurmur was brought in. You saw what he did, and this is why Daniel Jones was drafted and was the right draft pick for the Giants when you think in the grand scheme of the scheme of things, because this is he turned Eli Manning into a check down guy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go for the deep ball unless you have it there.
Right.
And it's why they brought Saquon in. They didn't want any pressure. It's why Odell's out of there. Like I said, Josh, we had this conversation before a couple weeks back about him being a cancer in the locker room. He's a diva receiver. He wanted the ball, and he was going to add pressure to a young team that didn't need unnecessary pressure in a team in a locker room that was going to be developing and going to eventually be transitioning from Eli Manning to Daniel Jones.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like I also made a good argument with the tight end corps that Eli has had to deal with his whole career. Outside of Martellus Bennett, I can't name you one tight end that has had success after he's either been stuck with that tight end who's had no name, or that tight end has gone on either in free agency or try to get a big payday with somebody. Besides Martellus Bennett, maybe you could argue Shockey after that one season with the Saints, but I don't feel like he really did jack shit with New Orleans. You got Pasco, Ballard, Boss. These are tight. Will Tye, fucking Larry Donnell. These are tight ends he actually had somewhat success with, or whatever he was dealt with. And then when all is said and done, either those players don't have a fucking career afterwards, or they just were lackluster wherever the fuck they went to. I know Boston. I think Pasco were two fucking tight ends that the Patriots tried to scoop up, and they were let go shortly after. Even Kevin Boss, he made some noise and. Raiders and I think another team I can't recall right now, but he didn't do anything with that team. So it's just I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for playing with some undermined or I don't know how you would label those players, just kind of like journeyman tight end.
He had lesser players on. It's why I sit here and argue that Ben Roethlisberger doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, because if I'm going to say Eli Manning doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, Ben had gold. He was sitting on gold. And what has he done with that gold?
Right as he came in as a fucking baby. Yeah.
You know what I hate the most is that, like when you want to go post about Eli Manning being better than Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees, people get out of control. Oh, you got to be kidding me! That's dumb. You're trolling. What is the troll? The man has basically when you Google top performers in the championship.
Tim, you were doing very good until
you brought. Interrupt him, Fox.
Do not interrupt me.
Of course, you don't want him interrupted right now.
Do not interrupt me. You see, everybody want to pick and choose what argument they want to put up. Just to be right. My thing is this: when people say that, Aaron Rodgers don't have this, he don't have that. Well, when Eli won, he didn't have a stud running back. He didn't have top 10 wide receivers. He didn't have a top 10 offense. He went
Wait. Hold on. So he didn't have a.
Tim.
Remember, stop it. What do you guys are going to rebuttal with? Stop it.
Memory lane. Victor Cruz was not a star. He was not a star. He was a preseason star who nobody knew. He had 4 great games in preseason that they activated him, and he just took off. That was a surprise by everybody. Mario Menahan, 3rd round pick out of Michigan. Okay, then you have Hakeem Nicks. I think he was a rookie or was his first year with the team. They were a decent core. Remember, that year Eli had 32 injuries on the team. The Giants didn't have a top 5 defense. They had a top defense that played well in the playoffs, not the season. But still, people take that credit from Eli Manning. Then in 2000, the last one.
I love when they say, "Oh, the defense was so hot." You talking about the 25th ring defense?
Exactly.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, bro.
And here's another thing. In that playoffs, he carried the Giants. He carried the Giants to Lambeau Field. And when you saw Eli versus Aaron Rodgers, what happened? Who had the better roster at the time? I believe Aaron Rodgers did, but Eli took over.
So wait, what year are you talking about? 2011.
2011.
Listen,
2011.
2000. Okay, so
wasn't Aaron Rodgers the MVP in 2010?
2011, we had a negative point differential too.
Was he the MVP in 2010? Aaron Rodgers.
You did have a negative point differential, but you also
that was his Super Bowl. That was the Super Bowl year. Yeah, 2010 was there.
The Giants also had a top 10 offense, and that was the only season. Only season. Wait a minute, Tim. Stop, because keep this same energy, because Fogg keeps it 100 all the time. That energy's 100 all the time.
Energy check.
Remember when we were going back? Remember when we were going back and forth about Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers and Tony Romo? Okay. And I did my Fogometrics. Eli Manning in 2011 finished 9th ahead of Matt Schaub. He was, according to Fogometrics, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL in 2011. It was the one season that I absolutely agreed and said that if you want to say that there's a season that Eli Manning actually carried his offense, that was the year you can make that. There's no energy check here. Keep your energy.
I believe in Fogometrics. I love Fogometrics. I think Fogometrics should have been born back then, so everybody understand that the Fogometrics told the truth. Eli was a top 10 quarterback. But here's the thing, though. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and Eli knocked on the door. You guys ever saw Three's Company? When you knock on my door, waiting for you. Remember that? Three's Company. Giants Company went in. They were, hey, we want to play. Guess what happened? Eli outperformed, and even at halftime when he threw Hakeem Nicks that touchdown, he was like, "Oh, we're not done yet." You know what's funny too? You know, Odell Beckham Jr.'s last playoff run with the Giants, Eli was in rhythm in that first half. If Odell would have catched them balls, if them Giant plays receivers would have catched them balls, that game could have changed as well, because Eli was in rhythm that whole half. It was just mistake after mistake after mistake. But guess who gets the blame? The quarterback. Now, again, see, Spoonie calls it down the line. We're not here trying to defend our team. This is straight football talk, of course. Everybody know I'm a big Cowboy fan. But guess what? Eli Manning is the gooch of the NFC East. He is the bully. He is the bully of the NFC East. The more you doubt him, the more he right. That's why I don't never disrespect Eli Manning. And I always say it. I'll say even in the draft. Yes, maybe Daniel Jones was a bad value pick for where they picked that. I'm not gonna say he's gonna have a bad career, because it was said the same about Eli Manning. Look what happened. When's Aaron Rodgers gonna get a second ring? Excuses. When's Drew Brees gonna get a second ring? When is Tom Brady gonna stop losing when he's facing against Eli Manning on the opposite side?
This is where you go wrong, because this is where Tom Coughlin and his coaching staff and his coaching ability does not get nearly enough credit. He gets glossed over as if he had tons of talent to work with. This guy, he literally took lemons and made lemonade with them.
So basically, the coach. So we're saying that Coughlin didn't get enough credit, right? So that's like saying that the reason why them other guys hasn't reached where Eli Manning's at is because of the coaching staff, maybe because Sean Payton is a top coach, and when you go 1 through 10, I don't know what was wrong with the Saints. Maybe some PI calls.
Sean Payton is an outstanding offensive mind who has struggled mightily on the defensive side of the ball. When it comes to putting that team together, you can't win. Defense wins championships. You should know that, Tim.
Okay.
When you when you were in elementary school and your Cowboys were winning championships, they had top 5 defenses
and top 5 offense
in the league.
And top 5 offense.
No, the top 5 rushing game.
No. Listen. Overall,
carried that.
No matter what the system was, overall we was top 5.
The bottom line is you have to have defense. You can't have the worst defense in the NFL for 4 or 5 straight years and expect to have success once you reach the postseason. It's the problem that Dan Marino had. But yet
Timothy,
you're sitting here, you say the quarterback gets too much blame or the quarterback gets too much credit, but here you are hypocritically giving too much blame or too much credit to the quarterback.
But Tim, hold on. But Timothy, you said about the Giants had the worst defense, right? They somehow went on to win the Super Bowl, right? See, there's outliers with that too, because I can use my Colts for example. When they won a championship in 2006, 2007, they had one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, right? So they get the playoffs out and they go against the Chiefs. Who was the Priest Holmes, or was it 2006, 2007? Well, the Chiefs I think they had one of the best rushing attacks in the league, right? And they came to Lucas Oil Stadium and they got shut down by a rushing defense who the Colts have never. I think a few times the Colts only had had the number 1 defense. That was 2000 and I think it was 3 or 4 when they lost to the Steelers in the first round. They had the best defense and the best offense, right? And you look at the Chiefs last year too. Like they had one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. The Colts going to the Arrowhead Stadium and they couldn't run the ball for shit, and it made it very hard for the team to score them. So you can't really say that. Well, they had the worst defense. I mean, the Giants had on paper they had a great offensive line. They had a great defensive line, even though the defense that season overall it wasn't that good. They had a good front. They guys know how to get to the quarterback, which is important.
2011, the Giants, Steve Spagnuolo again. This is a guy.
That's a good point too.
Came from Jimmy Johnson. If you're a passing team, which the Packers were, which the I think the Falcons were, which the Patriots were, and you're put in a passing situation, if there's one thing Spags learned from the late Jimmy Johnson is how to get to the quarterback.
Yep.
And he had guys in OC, in Tuck, that can get to the quarterback. And when those teams were in pressure situations, said, okay, you're going to put it in your quarterback's hand. We're going to put your quarterback flat on his back.
And you can make the same argument of what Jason was just talking about with his Colts team. If you want to say they had one of the worst run defenses, that season, you're right. And then look what happens when they get into the playoffs.
That's what happened.
44 yards to the Chiefs. Rushing yards, I should say. Baltimore, you only allowed them 83 yards on the ground. The Patriots only 93 on the ground. And the Bears had 111. But you know what happened in that game? And then you talk about the players on that. You had Mathis, you had Freeney, McFarland, so you could – the defense is bad. And then obviously the momentum going into it does count. But it's still –
There are a lot of factors that go into like how teams become successful in the playoffs. They're not that good, and also you can't just limit down to just one reason and say, "Hey, well, we had a bad defense through the regular season." I mean, playoffs is a little bit different.
Right. That's why I say the Giants coaching staff and Tom Coughlin in particular does not get nearly enough credit for what he did.
Oh, for sure. Listen, again, anybody who's a disciple from Bill Parcells, I definitely want. I'm coaching my team, but at the same time, the coach is not throwing the football. The coach is not making the biggest play of their lives. That's the main thing. I'm just saying they work well together. My whole thing is, again, we now in a passing era where defenses. My thing is this: we're gonna see now cornerbacks, not teams don't want to give that a lot of money to cornerbacks. What's the point? So defensive, this league right now is more of an offensive-minded league. It's meant for guys like Aaron Rodgers to get to more championships. It's meant for guys like Drew Brees to get to more championships.
No, it's actually meant for more entertainment and more views.
Okay,
more offense equals more dollars.
So on the macro level, yes.
That's what the greatest show on turf did. What you're seeing in the NFL is balance wins. And while this may be a passing league and beneficial to the quarterback and the receivers in the passing game, what consistently makes and wins championships? Oh, shit. defense and good running.
Well, here's the thing.
No, there is no thing, Tim.
No. In the
I think it's more.
It is a thing. It is a thing. There is no thing. In the championship game, they're gonna let you play the defensive game. The Panthers played an old school defensive game. They didn't call no calls. You barely saw any flags. That was the game where we saw, okay, wow, we're watching old school football. But during the season to the playoffs, you're seeing the same things over and over and over. Offensive mind is an offensive league. This is the time where they want to see Aaron Rodgers in the championship. They want to see Drew Brees in the championship. Listen, congratulations to the Quarrel. Congratulations. Stand ovation. Wait a minute. Hold up. Fox, standing ovation, Fox. Standing ovation. They made another rule for the offensive quarterback in Drew Brees. Now we get to replay pass interference calls. So first it was Aaron Rodgers.
So, Tim,
now we got the pass interference calls. Look at that.
Can I interject?
Ain't that something?
Hey, what's up?
Wow.
Hey Tim, can I interject real quick? Because I've been listening the last 20 minutes.
Listen. You got a nice looking beard like me, brother. You don't gotta act, man. We don't need the beard brothers. You don't gotta do that. Go ahead,
Tim. Let me ask you a question. I'm not even going to like get into what you were saying because a lot of it was just I mean, I don't understand your hatred for Aaron Rodgers and your love for Eli Manning. It's just really weird. But so I'm not even gonna get into that. But
He's
also,
a Giants fan.
I mean, it's very weird. But anyways, all these rule changes you're discussing, wouldn't you think this would benefit Eli Manning as well?
No.
Why?
Because Eli, you know what Eli Manning is? Eli Manning is his. I'm gonna tell you right now. Okay. I'm gonna put it where the men can understand. The men can understand. We fellas here, right? All these out there, the fellas.
Get to the point.
Here's the thing. We have hold on, I'm explaining. We have that nice female who will buy you lunch, always nice to you, but she's not that attractive. But you know, we don't want that. We leave that to the side. No, we want the hot chick over there who just looks good and she looks great with you in the public. She's hot as shit that you want to just bang it out. That's the difference. Aaron Rodgers is that hot chick. Eli Manning is the good chick that is not popular, that nobody wants to be around. That's the problem.
Does that have anything to do with what Brian just said?
If it did, the rules. Listen, the rules want to see the hot chick go places.
Tim, let me ask you this because that made no sense. But I'll ask you this.
It did make sense. The rules for the hot chick to go places. They don't want the good chick to go places.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a counter question. So you said the rule changes are built for guys like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. I got it, Steve. I got it.
Do it for the hot chicks.
Let me get it.
So what do Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees have that Eli Manning does not have?
Wait, say it again.
What do Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers have that Eli Manning doesn't? In terms of skill set.
In terms of skill set, wait, hold on. So
wait, because you're saying that Eli Manning's the good-looking chick, right?
No. Eli, no, not the good-looking chick. Eli Manning is the good chick. Chick.
Whatever.
Not good-looking, good chick.
Whatever. Eli Manning's the good chick. Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are the hot chicks, right? And usually between the hot chicks and good chicks, there's usually a difference between the two, right?
Yes.
I'm asking you this: what does Eli Manning, good chick? I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, hot chicks, and Eli Manning, good chick. What's the difference between the two? What does one have that the other one does not?
Easy.
How did we?
Easy. It's so easy.
I don't know.
The good chick of Eli Manning, is just
I'm
the.
Sorry, everybody watching.
Skill set wise, Tim. But the skills.
Listen. Skill set wise, Eli Manning is just smart as the other quarterbacks. The only difference, just as the next one, he just not as.
Even though he has twice as many interceptions as the other ones do, right? But okay.
For interception. But here's the thing.
I'm just countering.
But again, Eli Manning has never had the surrounding talent them other guys had, except for Odell Beckham Jr. That's about it.
And
keep it real.
And the irony of that is, you're right. The irony of that is, right? Eli Manning did have his best year when Odell was there, right?
I mean, you're gonna perform. You're gonna perform when you have the best around you. We gotta point that out. I mean, God forbid you ask a Packer fan, why did Aaron Rodgers perform? Oh, because we don't have no running game. We don't have this. When Aaron Rodgers makes a mistake,
but
it's everybody else's fault. It's never his fault.
Would you agree that there's some truth to that though?
What was that?
That Aaron Rodgers has never really had a legitimate run game. He's really never had a legitimate offensive line. It probably hasn't been as bad as Eli Manning.
Here's the thing.
But he hasn't. But let's answer the question.
Eli Manning's best season was when Odell was not there. It was in 2011 when he almost had 5,000 passing yards.
Oh, I apologize. You're right. I apologize for that. And who was his receiving core on that team?
Probably Hakeem Nicks, Steve Smith,
Plaxico, Mario Manningham, right?
No, Plaxico wasn't there.
2011, I don't think Plax was there.
No, he wasn't there.
No, he was with the Jets in 2011. Plaxico missed 9 and 10. Then he was with the Jets, and then Pittsburgh in 12.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we can get back to this. The folks are tuned in for the NFC South tonight. Eli gets enough love. Even as a Giants fan, I'm sick of hearing that little fucking fuck.
I'm just saying, fuck the Giants. Let's pull out down the line. But I'm just saying.
I'm sick of talking about the ugly chick for the night. Let's get into the NFC South, fellas. Let's talk about some other players that are deserving of our words and attention and devotion. Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and the Bucs. We got some good ones for you folks tonight. Let's start it off though. We're gonna start off with the Saints tonight, and our first victim is gonna be Alvin Kamara. The line for Alvin Kamara is having 1,900 yards from scrimmage this year, folks. 1,900 yards from scrimmage. My take is he's only had 2 seasons under his belt, but in his short time in the NFL, obviously he's already emerged as one of the top backs in the game. We all know it. We all see it. We're all fantasy players. The Saints also believe that when they were comfortable in letting little Mark Ingram go to a crowded backfield in Baltimore. I think they have like 4 or 5 running backs right now in Baltimore. Kamara has yet to break 200 rushing attempts, but that's definitely going to change the season as Ingram's leaving 138 attempts left over for the current regime. And Alvin had 1,592 yards from scrimmage last year, starting only 13 games out of the 15 that he played. So if he's going to be consistent number 1, more attempts in the rushing and passing game, Kamara will be one out of 4 backs that finished with 2,000 yards from scrimmage. That's Shim's take. I'm taking the over. Tim, what you got for me, baby?
Over. Ingram is not there no more. We got Buck Allen. We have Latavius Murray. Those guys will still carry the same role that Ingram was doing the time he was there with New Orleans. So again, Ingram is the ultimate weapon on that team. He will get a lot of playing, a lot of catches, a lot of running attempts just to pass over 2,000. So I'm going to take the over.
So we're going to say that this. My bad. Go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna. I'm gonna say under. I think 1,900 is gonna be come very, very close to it. However, I don't know if Alvin Kamara is ready to take this kind of load on. I'm just not sure he's ready to take this type of wear and tear on his body. He's a very talented back. He really is. But I don't know if he's ready to be the featured back in this offense. He might get it, but it might come at a cost. He might be worn down by the time he gets to the playoffs. So, but I'm gonna say Sean Payton's gonna strategically use Alvin Kamara. He's gonna be out there a little more than usual, but hopefully they don't overuse him. But I'm gonna say under for his sake.
For his sake.
Yeah, for his sake. It better be under.
I guess I'll go next. Yeah, I kind of agree with Brian. I'm gonna say slightly under too. Just some of the reasons Brian said. Even when you saw him last year with Mark Ingram was kind of like the workhorse back, and I don't think Kamara's ready to take that load. And they brought in Latavius Murray. I mean, he's not Mark Ingram. I think he'll get utilized as well, kind of in the pass and the running game, which kind of take the load off of Ingram. I mean, not Ingram, sorry, but Kamara. I'm gonna take under just slightly.
Jason, say that again one more time. You sounded French for a second. Latavius Murray.
I'll say Latavius Murray.
Latavius Murray.
Latavius Murray.
Look, he had 275 touches last season. And I think he almost got 1,600 yards. So we're now going to ask the guy to take the full brunt and go for close to 400 touches. And go for 1,900 yards from scrimmage. I'm kind of back and forth, but I think he'll eclipse 2,000 yards from scrimmage because there's nothing else there for them. If his body can withstand them, Brian brings up a extremely good point. If he can't withstand it, then this guy's not going to make it. And it's going to be a matter of can he handle the workload, because he's going to get a workload. He's going to take probably I want to say somewhere close to 30% of the touches offensively. And if that's going to be the case, then he stays healthy. I think he can easily eclipse 2,000 yards because I think he could rush. I think he could rush for 1,500.
Right. I fully agree with the first part of your statement where you said he's going to basically be getting the whole ass workload. In my opinion, there's no reason they would have let go of Mark Ingram if they didn't fully trust this guy to take on the workload. It's the same reason, that the Falcons let go of, in my opinion, Tevin. So we'll see how that boils over. But our next line for the Saints is going to be Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn will finish number 4 in receiving yards amongst the Saints players. This one's a tricky one. Traquan Smith started getting more attention towards the end of last year, and most people forget that Cameron Meredith is on this squad. Easy to forget him going down so early last year. Michael Thomas and Kamara, they will finish 1 and 2 again in receiving yards, in my opinion. And then you have Jared Cook, who may even battle for that 3rd or 4th spot in terms of receiving yards with Meredith. I believe Ginn finishes either 5th or 6th amongst Saints players for receiving yards this year. So I'm going to take the over.
Well, listen, when you look at that roster, the wide receivers, especially on that team, Meredith didn't pan out last season because he was injured. Traquan Smith, that was the guy that he had some good games, some bad games. Some felt that he could have been the number 2 guy behind Michael Thomas, but he was not consistent. Then just down the list, you got Simi Cobbs, who got on last season, Butler Emmanuel, Rashard Matthews, who played for Tennessee. Listen, I got him going number 2, so I'm taking the over.
That's under.
That's under.
Under.
I'm gonna say slightly under because I do believe that Ted Ginn is still one of the most explosive receivers in the league. He's one of those freakishly gifted players who can kind of have like strings of games where he's just around. He only had 17 catches for 209 yards last year. I'm going to say he's going to finish 3rd. And honestly, I'm going to say he's going to finish behind Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. I'm not sure about Meredith. He's had some injury issues. Jared Cook might show up. And then Traquan Smith, honestly, this might be a personal bias. He's on my fantasy. I picked him up on fantasy because he had like one game where he exploded, and I picked him up. He didn't do anything the last 4 or 5 games. So I actually don't like him right now. So for that reason. So, but for all seriousness, I think Ted Ginn is going to finish at least 3rd. So I'm going to say under.
You're both wrong so far. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm saying he's not gonna finish. He's not gonna finish 4th receiver yards. Traquan Smith, he's kind of a hit or miss, kind of a wild card. I think he's gonna take another jump this year, with just more experience. And I love Ted Ginn. I mean, just to me, I'm big on, like, he's 33 years old. He still got some burners in him. I don't know. I think the age might play somewhat of a factor into that too. As much as he's going to get utilized, they brought in Jared Cook, who's I think he's going to be a big part of the passing game, and of course you got Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I'm gonna say about 5th. So
Ted Ginn Jr. should retire. That is all.
The disrespect is real.
So
right
you
now.
agree with me, Fog Man? It's the age, right?
It's not just the age.
That's part of it.
It's part of it, but at some point in time you see receivers and you see the way they drop, and you could see it in him. that he's dropping. He was the third best receiving option in 2017, like Brian said, but he's slower than what he was before, especially when he was playing in Miami and in Carolina. It's just he's going. I don't think Cameron Meredith, or I don't even know who the other guy was that Brian took on his fantasy roster. You were insane for even picking him up. So there is a slight possibility he could actually finish fourth in receiving yards, but I just think it's over. It's done.
Agreed. Tim, you trying to put a pizza on that number two spot? Ted Ginn number 2?
Yeah, listen.
I could go for a black olive pizza in the wintertime.
Yeah, there's not enough experience on their roster or guys that you could really trust. I mean,
oh man, we might have to bet Spoonie.
When
that's outrageous.
When Alvin Kamara was splitting time with Mark Ingram and he finished second in receiving yards,
right?
And Ginn finished third. You're telling me now, no Ingram there, that Ginn is suddenly
wait. But the question hold on. I know Alvin Kamara is going to get more receiving yards than Ginn. But the question was out of the receiving corps, right, or just overall?
No, it was overall.
Overall. Oh shit! Change my answer then. Of course. I'm sorry. I took it as just a receiving corps as the number 2 guy. That's how I was making my answer.
Amongst Saints players. That's the punter, kicker, quarterback, fullback, safety, linebacker, defensive tackle. If they can catch.
That's my fault. I took it wrong.
So where's he finishing, Spoonie?
Fucking last. I'm sorry. Listen. He'll finish third. Wait, hold on. What do you think the question was? Now I'm confused.
No,
you said I thought it was amongst the receiving corps. That's what I thought it was.
Oh, amongst the receivers for the Saints.
Yeah, because you have guys on there like Meredith, who would have been the guy, and Raekwon. I took it that way. Overall, of course.
I said Kamara was 1 and 2. Thomas Kamara. Oh man, that's all right. You can get a pass.
I'm sorry.
You stick up for Eli a lot, so you get a pass.
Because he's a Giants fan.
I'm never a Giants fan. Never. You gotta tell the truth sometimes.
The last one, or is this the last one? Yeah, it is for the Saints. Last one we got is Marshon Lattimore and Eli Apple combined for 5.5 interceptions this season. Now, Lattimore's game actually increased, folks, when Eli Apple came over to the Saints. That's when Lattimore's pass deflection started to gain more consistency and occurrences. Also, his 2 intos came in the second half of the season when the young Ohio teammate paired back up with him. With all the knacking on Apple, and during his Big Blue tenure days, he seemed to rebound pretty well in New Orleans, and nothing negative has surfaced around his name. As a Giants fan, I hold no ill will towards the kid. Maybe the change of culture and having an ex-teammate across your way is what he actually really needed, and it helped change his attitude and outlook in the league and maybe for himself. So maybe that was a career saver for him. But with the full season under these 2 belts, honestly, I can see Lattimore and Apple combining for about 7 picks this year. I'm actually going to take the over.
I'm taking the under. The New Orleans Saints decided not to pick up Eli Apple's option. So that tells me right there that he might not be in plans for their future. When he played last year, what was that? There is some motivation. There is some motivation. I see that, but he was playing with certain types of packages. Last season, he didn't really start on the opposite side. They did sign Patrick Robinson, who they're a big fan of. This past free agency time, about April. So I'm going with the under. I think he will be challenged. I don't think he will be the starter for long for New Orleans.
Oh, Josh just kind of threw out my answer. I'm going to say over because Eli Apple, he's in a contract year, and it's going to be a lot of motivation for him. I think he's actually going to play very well. I think, like Josh alluded to in his opener, he has kind of resurrected his career. He's still young. He's like 23, I believe. He has resurrected his career as a defensive back in this league. I'm going to go ahead and say over. I'm going to say Eli Apple may even lead the team in interceptions this year, along with them combining with the interceptions. So I'm going to say I can see him getting at least 7.5, 8.
I'm gonna say over too as well. He already eclipsed 5 interceptions his rookie year, and they had Eli Apple, like Josh said, he's gonna contract here, so that's motivation. And also too, the Saints have one of the best defensive line in the league. You know, and I believe you have a great defensive front. It makes your secondary a lot better. So I'm easily gonna take over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over on this one too. I mean, just if Eli Apple is going to start even half the season, I think he could get 2 picks. And Marshon Lattimore, I think he's good. He's good for at least 4 this season.
I like it. Good stuff, fellas. That wraps up the New Orleans Saints for us. Looks like our next victim is the Atlanta Falcons. And our first player is going to be Matt Ryan. What's the stat line for him? Matt Ryan will finish number 2 overall in passing yards. That's for the league, not amongst quarterbacks on the Falcons, Tim. So that's number 2 overall in the league with passing yards. Now, Fox know this. I've been singing Matt Ryan's praises on Tim and Shim in the past, and now on 4QQ, I'm still singing the same annoying-ass tune. Matt Ryan has quietly been a top 5 quarterback the past 5 seasons. He's got 23,000 yards with a 67 completion percentage, 142 scores, and only 56 picks. That's good for 290 yards a game. That's beastly shit right there. 99.6 rating. Can we really trust Big Ben to lead the league again without AB balling, or I should say balling out and bailing out his ass on desperation throws? Or can we really count on Patrick Mahomes to repeat that level of success with Cheetah possibly disciplined and no Kareem Hunt? I'm not so positive if my money's on it. Matt Ryan's arsenal has pretty much remained the same despite losing Tevin Coleman. Matt Ryan is my early favorite to win the NFL MVP award in 2019. He'll finish number 1 in yards. I'm taking the over.
I'm taking the over. He was 2017. He was top 10. Believing that is number 10. Last year he went up to number 2. And you know, now when you play in the offense that where Matt Ryan is able to get not only his number 1 but number 2 and number 3 close to all 3 having 3,000 yards, even though they total amount to over 3,000 yards, but basically Calvin Ridley and Muhammad Sanu was 120 yards shy of 1,000. That's incredible. When have we ever seen a number 1, number 2, number 3 receiver get some numbers like that? So I'm taking the over.
Okay, so the question is, will Matt Ryan finish number 2 overall in passing yards? So that means he's going to have to obviously, if you take the over, right, you're going to say he's going to finish number 1.
Lead the league.
Right? I'm going to say under. I don't think he's going to lead the league in passing yards this year for the simple fact that some of the names that you mentioned, Josh, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have another tremendous season. I think he's one of those guys, and I know, teams that are like this, he's like an Aaron Rodgers. He can throw the ball at anybody. I don't think he needs Tyreek Hill. I don't think he needs his yak. I think Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball. It doesn't matter who's lining up. I think he's that good of a quarterback. He can throw the ball to anybody he wants to, and they're going to succeed. And then obviously Aaron Rodgers is still around. And then obviously Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid, who loves to chuck the ball around 40, 50 times a game as well. So as well, I have a feeling that, even Phillip Rivers might be back in the fold of things when it comes to his. I'm not saying he's a lead the league, but he might have a challenge for that. And then, obviously, I'm going to go ahead. I think Matt Ryan could finish maybe top 3 or top 4. And then, even Andrew Luck, who had 4,500 yards last year, who, Jason thinks he's going to throw for like 6,000 this year. So Jason better be under, or that energy is going to change because he better. So anyways, but I'm going to go ahead and say under. I don't think he's going to lead the league, but he's going to get his usual 48, 4,900, but I don't think he's going to lead the league. Too many quarterbacks out there.
All right, Brian. I don't think. First of all, let me correct you right there for that. I don't think Andrew Luck's going to throw for 6,000 yards. I'm not spooning. I'm not just crazy.
You said 45 touchdowns. Right?
I said 45 touchdowns. Touchdowns. I'm looking on. Yeah. So Matt Ryan, he's eclipsed 600 passing attempts. I say he's. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in his career. Out of those 5 times in his career, he's been top 5, top 4 in the league in passing yardage. Now, last season, the guys that eclipsed 600 passing attempts in the league were Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck, Patrick Mahomes, and Ben Roethlisberger. Now, what Josh just said, I think Andrew Luck and Ben Roethlisberger's attempts are probably going to go down just a little bit because of the scheme to fit. I think Matt Ryan might go up a little bit because he doesn't have that dual running attack with Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman. So I think he might eclipse that number again. I think he's going to lead him to be second. Actually, I'm going to say first. I'm going to say first in passing yardage. So I'm going to say number one.
So will he finish second? 2013, he finished fourth. 14 and 15, he finished fifth. 16, he finished second. 17, sixth. And 2018, 11. Third, sorry. I'm going to say he finishes second. Right on the money. I think you're going to have him, Patrick Mahomes, and Andrew Luck, and a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Those four quarterbacks are going to be the four quarterbacks fighting to be in the top four as far as yards leaders this year in passing. So Matt Ryan has probably been the most consistent from availability aspect, and is just consistency throughout his career. I know Brian hates to hear that Matt Ryan is better than Ben Roethlisberger, but the fact remains that his statistics completely prove it, and his the numbers are there, and he's got the personnel from a receiving aspect to easily eclipse the 43 to 4,500 yard mark and potentially lead the league in passing this year. So yeah, I'm going to take him finishing second.
Steve, that's a question. I'm sorry, Josh. One question. I have one question for Steve, real quick.
Yeah, I'll go second.
Steven, has Matt Ryan been sitting on gold his whole career?
No, he hasn't really been sitting on gold his whole career, but he has. He's definitely underwhelmed in the playoffs, especially with some of the talent that he's had around him. I'm not gonna give him a pass.
He didn't have. He hasn't had Julio. He hasn't had Tony Gonzalez. Roddy White. A couple running backs back there. A stud offensive line.
But he's also had a bottom third defense. Like Ben Roethlisberger didn't have Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown or Mike Wallace.
I know what Big Ben has had. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying try to keep that same energy when you're saying one quarterback's been sitting on gold, the other one has as well. And at least my guy has his Super Bowl rings to prove it.
He got his Super Bowl rings because of Mike Tomlin's outstanding coaching.
Okay. But Big Ben was out there throwing the pass, especially in that second Super Bowl. Big Ben was out there making plays. Something that Matt Ryan could not do in his Super Bowl or in a number of his underwhelming playoff performances.
Josh, may I give an energy check to everybody?
Oh, yeah.
I have to give an energy check to everybody. Everybody right now. I'm going to go back to YouTube. I'm going to YouTube later on today. I'm going back to YouTube and I'm going to use this clip right here. This clip right here, you guys now arguing, comparing who had who. But when it's Eli Manning, nope, you can't do that.
Who said that?
I just caught y'all. I say no more.
Okay, hey, Josh, I didn't mean to hijack over under.
Energy check.
Save it for the after party. Save it for the after party.
After party at the after party is lit. We need to make like a live and uncut,
drink,
like
man.
Girls Going Wild 4QQ version after hours.
I do agree with Brian, though. I do agree with Brian's question of fogging. I'm pretty shocked with that. Brian's right, though.
Timothy, I got to drink, man. Timothy, I got to drink, man.
Right? Brian is right.
After party.
In my opinion, with that one.
What was my question? Fucking fuck, man. What the fuck did you say? Some shit about Aaron Rodgers? Oh yeah, that's right. I was intrigued to know if you already had kind of like an outline of your top 5 quarterbacks in terms of passing yards this season, because I'm a little intrigued when you said Aaron Rodgers was still going to be out there. I'm like, oh, so you think so? With that wide receiver corp, with Valdez Scotland and Equadibia St. Brown, you trust that? Really?
I trust the quarterback that Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I trust the quarterback that Rodgers is.
You mean a selfish quarterback that he is? worried about his stats?
Exactly. Thank you. You just said
so he's gonna throw it away and not get yardage.
He's going to get yards. Trust and believe he's going to get yards.
He was told not to audible. He was told not to audible. He's in trouble.
He's already fighting with Matt LeBlanc.
That's another topic that I got issues with. But
I have an issue with that. I have an energy.
Let's get it all out right now. Yeah, Devonta Freeman can wait a second.
I have an energy check real quick. So here's the thing. What do we all praise Tom Brady for when it comes to his quarterbacking? What do we praise him for? Like in terms of what's around him? What do
consistency, I guess you could say.
Consistency and making guys better.
Making guys better. Has Tom Brady, outside of Randy Moss, outside of Gronk, what else, consistency-wise, superstar potential, I mean, what else has he really had? Nothing. And I'll answer for you. Nothing. So here's my question. Here's my energy check. Why is it that when the receivers, Josh, you just spewed out for Aaron Rodgers, right? Why is it that he's selfish? And, hold on, Tim. Hold on. Wait a minute.
This is some blasphemy. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. I'm curious, and I could be wrong. Why is it that when it's funny because Tom Brady doesn't really have much around him, and when he does well, we say, "Oh man, Tom Brady." The reason why, and I agree with this. I agree with this. So I'm kind of like arguing against myself. I'm saying people say, "Oh, Tom Brady, man, he's great. He makes guys around him better. He had Troy Brown, he had Cranbrook Jenkins, blah blah blah." And he still throws for over 4,000 yards every year, right? I believe Tom Brady was top 10. Was he top 10? Yeah, he was number 7 last year, right? And hold up, wait a minute.
I was going to add on to that. Right.
Aaron Rodgers, who has Devonta Adams, but after that, it's a large drop off, right? It's a large drop off. Let's just keep it real. It's a big drop off. But we want to kill Aaron Rodgers or criticize him or say that, he only cares about his stats or, because Fog Mag is going to have him in his top 10. What if Aaron Rodgers what if he's just one hell of a fucking quarterback?
May I answer that?
Damn good.
Answer that?
Hold on. One more thing. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is that type of quarterback. I don't think you need to pair him with an elite receiver to be for him to be great. He's got to prove it this year because he had Tyreek Hill, and I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to be around for much of the season. But I think that Aaron Rodgers is just that damn good of a quarterback where he can still get his yards and his touchdowns with, average to above average or just good receivers.
May I answer that, please? First of all, I want to say Pat Mahomes is not Aaron Rodgers. Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Number 2.
I'm talking about skill set.
Not even skill set.
I disagree.
I wouldn't match his skill set. I wouldn't match the skill set. Number two, when it comes to Tom Brady, he is a leader. His best receiver, who barely played any games with him last season, they got in the trade, and Josh Gordon is not a lot of practice. He went to Josh Gordon to bring the whole team him. Leadership. Right. Hold on. No, leadership. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, why are we coming out with articles about how he is with his players? Here's the thing.
We're talking about 2 different things.
No. I'm giving it to you. The reason why, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and his players, we're gonna see the difference is because here's the thing. They play for Tom Brady. The Aaron Rodgers, when it goes wrong, when things are going wrong for him, if it's his fault, he puts the blame on them. We've seen proven articles about it. Guys,
Devonta Freeman's over-under is next, right?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, Steven. I don't know.
Listen, here's the thing. Nobody wants to hear the truth about Aaron Rodgers. Soon enough and later, we're gonna have
after hours
come out. You know what? Aaron Rodgers, this and that, and the third.
After hours, Tim.
You guys are sucked in.
Tim, I will scold you after hours.
I got you a drink, man. All right, after hours, bro.
Jason, you need to put that shit down. This is why you're doing French names. Those goddamn wine labels have you saying Murray and all this.
You guys are fucked in.
You're all on notice, all of you. This show is out of fucking hand right now.
That was my fault. I didn't mean to hijack the show.
I'm just fucking around. This show is great, you guys. Devonta Freeman, Devonta's next. Devonta wants some attention, fellas, all right? He's feeling small, ridiculed, had a bad season last year, and we need to know if he's going to have 1,350 yards from scrimmage this season. Not too long ago, Devonta was that early favorite for fantasy football rosters, but he's been slowly losing that appeal since 17. He went down a couple games back then, and then in 18, when he was only able to rush 14 times before going down the entire season. Tevin Coleman's out of the picture now, giving Freeman every chance to redeem himself this year, fellas, back to his 2015, maybe 16 campaigns. But as for me, I'm not sure how much faith I can really instill in the young man anymore. Between the injuries the past couple years and his overall size and structure, giving him that scat back frame really frightens me in terms of his longevity and durability in the NFL. I fear we'll be looking at another short-lived season for Freeman. But I have faith in the Falcons and knowing what they have in Yscm by drafting him in the 4th round in 18. So I'm going to go under with Devonta. I think Ito takes a nice plunge this season.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know about college football, join 4QQ because we have the best analysts who break down all the college things you want to hear, and Stephen Farbeck and Brian E. Now, by me being a fan of their work and watching, I observed. I said, you know what? Tevin Coleman was the best running back in Atlanta, his career.
Mm-hmm.
But Tevin Coleman has moved on. So the Atlanta Falcons drafted a running back in Quadri Allison. Did I say his name right? Excuse me. Yes, Quadri Allison out of Pitt, who was the backup to who was the replacement for James Conner at Pitt. This guy had a great season last year. Listening to Mr. Brian E. and Stephen Fogman mention him out and past other shows. You know what, Josh? I'm taking the under because I think Quadri Allison is going to be the guy to fill in and be the surprise player and take over that role at number 1.
Yeah, see, you just took one of my answers. You and Josh took one of my answers. I think Devonta, obviously I'm a Florida State fan, and this guy, he's almost similar build to what's the guy's name in Minnesota? Man, goodness gracious, the running back. Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, very similar build to Dalvin Cook. Ironically, went to the same school, and ironically, always are just nicked and knacked. And like Josh said, I don't know how much more Devonta Freeman can take with his injuries concerns, man. He's only 5'8", 206. He's very good build. He's very stocky, but he's always been injury prone. I'm going to go under, and I think the new running backs like Quadri Wilson and Ito Smith are going to start to emerge midseason. And I think we can probably be seeing the end of a Devonta Freeman. So I'm going to say under, unfortunately.
Wow. I can't believe the disrespect I'm seeing for Devonta Freeman. Like, really, guys? Really?
It's help. It's help.
I know it's help. It's help. But let's say if this Barn, like health issues or not, if he stays healthy, he's already done this, twice. And then the first thing he did in 2000, but he did it in 13 games started. All right. I think if Matt Ryan's going to be the number 1 leader in passing yardage, who thinks going to get some of those passing yardage? It's going to be out of the backfield, right? I'm going to say over. He's going to clip it. I'm going to say I say about 1,450 yards from scrimmage. I'm definitely taking over if he stays healthy. I'm being optimistic, Jason here, right? I'm being optimistic. Okay, I think he's going to be healthy.
I'm with Jason on this.
Damn.
If you look at 2015 and 2016, I mean, he went over 1,500 yards from scrimmage both those years. Last year, not last year, 2017, it was 1,100, and that was it in a very that was Sarkisian's, I think, first year as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's trash.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that he'll be fine, and I think he'll get over. I think 1,350 was a generous over under. I think it would have been tougher for me had Josh put up 1,450 or 1,500 there, but I think he can easily hit 1,350 to 1,400.
Jason, you got me cracking up. Fogmaker agrees with me? Hell yeah, I'm pouring another one. Fucking cheers, buddy. Fucking cheers.
It's not too often, Jason, this happens.
I know you're a hater, man. It's okay.
I might have to join you fellas next week.
I love you, man.
Party.
We're having some fun.
Fun.
You guys keep laughing. Keep laughing.
I'm taking the over on fun tonight. Fucking Calvin Ridley, fellas. This is an interesting one. I'm proud of myself for this one. Calvin Ridley will score 4 more touchdowns than Julio Jones this season. Now, Calvin Ridley, he was tied for 9th in the NFL for touchdowns inside the 20. He had 6 scores inside the 20. The same amount of scores as Antonio Brown, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen, Alshon Jeffrey, and Cameron Brate. Julio had almost double the targets inside the goddamn 20, but Ridley had more scores and a higher catch percentage. If last season showed anything, it's that Ryan already had a huge amount of faith in this guy and really displayed some great mechanics and route running ability as a young gun in the league. All promising signs to elevate his game even further in his second year, and I think Ridley can outscore Julio by 5 touchdowns this season. I'm taking the over on this, fellas.
Way over. Calvin Ridley is a stud. Like I said earlier, he had 820 yards receiving, especially with the amount of targets that Julio Jones got. So it's over. Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under. I don't think it's gonna be 4 more. I do think Ridley's going to have more touchdowns than Julio Jones because Julio Jones has just proven that he just does not like to score. So I mean, for whatever reason, Julio Jones just does not like the end zone. He loves yards, he loves yak, but he just kind of just stops at the 1 yard line, takes a break in the red zone. And I think the Atlanta Falcons have figured that out. I think they have just. I don't want to say they've given up on Julio Jones. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", 230. You got to throw up to him at least once or twice. But there's no success there. And I think Calvin Ridley, the route runner he is, I mean, he gets a lot of success going inside, going outside, those drag routes, those in and out routes in the red zone that he did so well last year. So I'm not going to say it's going to be more than 4. I'm going to say under. But I do think Calvin Ridley might outscore Calvin Johnson by like maybe 2. I'm sorry, Julio Jones.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I agree with Brian. I'm definitely taking under on this one. Listen. And I hear what you're saying, Brian. I know you and Maxwell. I've gotten to an argument with about this. Now I posted multiple articles about why I think that it's unfair for you guys to criticize Julio for saying for him not going up and getting the ball because that's not the kind of that's not the receiver. He's just not good at it. But I think it's more to it than just he's just not good. I don't think he's not good at it. I think. Listen. I think there's a lot of things that factor into that too because he sees a lot of double team, a lot of coverages, right? And teams are gearing up to stop Julio, especially in the red zone. I think the emergence of Calvin Ridley. This might sound a little crazy. Emergence of Calvin Ridley because he's such a great route runner. I think that might take a little bit pressure off Julio Jones a little bit, and it might open things up for him. As crazy as that sounds, right? And you got to think too, Julio Jones is he's getting up there in age. I think he's 30 now? I think he's 30, 31.
29, I believe. 29,
I think he's gonna be 30 this year. He's kind of on that down slide. I'm gonna say he's gonna have a down year. I'm gonna say he's kind of slowing down a little bit, but I still think he's still I think the second best receiver in the league, behind Hopkins. But I think it's going to be under just because I think Calvin Ridley, the emergence of Calvin Ridley, and I think that he might get a little bit more attention to because I want to say that because Julio's kind of going down a little bit, I think he might have lost a little bit. He might lost just a slight step, and I think Calvin Ridley is just he's just such an elite route runner and a good he can get over, he can get catches. I think teams might kind of look at that a little bit more, and Matt Ryan like to open things up more instead of just focusing on throwing it to Julio, which is why I think he's having issues getting it done because he's getting so much attention because Matt is not opening up the offense a little bit. But I think Calvin Ridley's emergence is going to help kind of take some of that back. And I'm going to say it's going to be slightly under.
I don't think he has any trouble getting him the ball. He had 113 catches last year. But
it's not trouble getting him the ball. I think it's more. It's just teams. I mean, Matt Ryan's not just looking at him all the time. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of spread the ball out a little bit more. Before it was always going to Julio, which is why they weren't successful because they weren't just depending on Julio.
Okay.
I'm going with over on this one. I can see Ridley catching 10 to 12 touchdowns this season and Julio going for 5 or 6. I don't think it's a question. The struggles that Julio has in the red zone is apparent. We're talking a guy that I think in his entire career has finished double-digit touchdowns in one season.
The second year.
He's got 2 seasons with 8 touchdowns, which includes last season. So to say that he finishes with 5 or 6 isn't outside of the norm. And Ridley had 10 touchdowns last season, and I think he only started 6 games. So,
I just think Julio's numbers are just fascinating. I mean, his touchdown to yard ratio is unbelievable. It's so weird.
He's Andre Johnson on steroids.
Is.
He really is.
I'll say he's a healthier Andre Johnson. And people used to think Julio was injury prone. He's really not. But he's a healthier.
Here's the thing, though. Andre Johnson didn't get the targets that Julio got in the red zone. That's the thing.
Oh, and he didn't have the quarterbacks.
Yep.
That's the thing, too.
That wraps it up for the Falcons. We're going to move it on to the Carolina Panthers. And the first victim is Cam Newton. What's Cam Newton's line? He's going to be 4th in passing yards amongst the NFC South quarterbacks. So in his own division, Cam Newton is going to be dead last in the NFC South amongst the South quarterbacks. Now, I already announced Matt Ryan is my MVP for this year. So that's out. He's not tossing more than Breeze ever. So that's out. So it's between him and Jameis Winston right now. As bad of a season as the Bucs and Jameis had last season, Jameis only threw for 403 yards, while Cam had played 3 more games than Winston. With Bruce Arians now in Tampa and all signs pointing to Winston having a bounce-back year, it's hard to picture Newton having more success than Winston. Seems to have a better receiving arsenal, in my opinion. I will agree with this line, and I'm going to take the push. Tim? Where does Cam Newton finish?
Well, listen. You know, I keep saying for Cam, I feel bad for Panthers fans out there who have watched a stud quarterback get treated like he don't deserve an upgrade around him at all. When you look at Carolina, of course, well, first of all, the division, like Josh said, you have Matt Ryan. Never gonna happen. That's number 1. Drew Brees, number 2. Toss up between him and Winston. So, what does Winston have? Nice coaching staff. I like the coaching staff they put together. I love the fact Brian Leftwich is the offensive coordinator. I've always been a big fan of Byron Leftwich since his time in Michigan State. Now, here's the thing. Look at the receiving corps. Mike Evans. What does Cam have that's compared to Mike Evans? Not even he has nothing to compare to Chris Godwin. I understand he has his new receiving corps from last year, but I don't think they're gonna bring that type of receiving ability that Cam needs to go over the hump. Not even that, to be even in the mix of the passing yardage. So I'm taking the under. Cam will be dead last in passing in that division.
Brian, do you want us to hear your thoughts, or is it that bad?
No, because Jameis right. Come on.
It is that bad. It is that bad. But no, it's tough. I'm gonna take the man. I'm gonna take the push too, only because Jameis Winston's back's against the wall, and because Jameis Winston has to succeed this year, or he may be out the league. I'm not gonna say to another chance. He may be out of the league because I don't think there's a team that's gonna really want to deal with him. And this is coming from a Florida State fan. I have been on the Jameis Winston bandwagon since 2013 against his first game against Pittsburgh. That's how long I have been on Jameis Winston's bandwagon.
Welcome to reality.
Yeah, how dare you, Brian? How dare you? Where's the energy check? No, he said earlier Eli Apple was in contract year that he would get the interception. Now Winston's in contract year. Why he get no motivation this year?
You just put him ahead of Newton. What are you talking about?
No, I'm putting him ahead of Newton. It's a push. I said Cam Newton is going to finish 4th because Winston has to. He has to succeed. But I do think Cam Newton's going to have a bounce back year. I do think it's going to be close. And there's one guy I want you guys not to sleep on on the receiving corps on the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore is going to have a breakout year. I'm telling you right now, this kid from Maryland, he had some dropsies, he had some cases of fumbles last year because he's a really explosive receiver. His yak is unbelievable. Run up the catch is great. He's gonna have a breakout year. I really do. So I think Cam's gonna have a break. He's gonna bounce back year, but he will finish last only because Jameis Winston is going to be throwing it all over the lot.
Listen, man, this is a push. He's gonna finish last in the division. I mean, Drew Brees, not Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, forget about that. Jameis Winston, get this. Cam Newton's only threw for 4,000 yards in one season in his entire NFL career. Jameis Winston's already done it twice. Even though Jameis Winston has had his issues, he's done it twice in his career already. He's been there for 4 years. And like Brian said, like you guys said, this is a contract year for Jameis Winston. And he has Bruce Arians as his coordinator, who I really love. Who's going to help Jameis Winston out a lot. And he has better weapons too, right? So this is easily he's gonna be last. And another thing too is injury. How is that shoulder? Is that shoulder gonna be good? I mean, how is he gonna be as a quarterback? Has he developed enough to kind of depend on being a pocket more of a pocket passer than just being who Ken used to be? So there's a lot of question marks with that too. So I'm definitely gonna say fourth.
I'm gonna say he finishes 8th. He's finishing 8th in the South because I'm going to include the AFC South. No, actually, he'll finish 7th because Nick Foles is going to finish 8th. But, I mean, look, his best receiver last year was Christian McCaffrey. DJ Moore had, I think, 55 receptions on hold on a second, I'll pull it up here, 82 targets. 82 targets. Christian McCaffrey was targeted 124 times. If there was ever a check down offense that was occurring, and you did nothing to improve your receiving core at all,
list any offensive receiver for the Panthers that you actually like? I mean, for me, it's just DJ Moore. Other than that,
I mean, I thought Curtis Samuel was going to be Ginn Jr. kind of maybe, but hasn't really paid out for him. So
Curtis Samuel underwhelmed tremendous.
Yep.
I'm not going to give up on Curtis just yet. I think he was a reach being picked in the second round, I believe. That was such a reach for the Panthers to get him there, but I won't give up on him just yet. I think he's still trying to find his feet in the NFL. I think they either need to put him at running back, which they can because they have Christian McCaffrey there, and he played running back at Ohio State, or they need to just freaking switch him to receiver and let him just go with the receivers and be a wide receiver in the league, which they should, because they keep trying to make him this Percy Harvard type of guy. He's not that guy. They try to move him around and be this gadget guy. Where they already have that in Christian McCaffrey. So just make Curtis Samuel a receiver and see what he can do. I like Curtis. He's very, very talented. So I won't give up on him yet. I believe he's going into his 3rd year, so we'll see how he does this year.
I like rookie Damian Jean-Pierre Jr.
Oh, do you? Where's he from?
He's from Nicole State.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
How tall is he?
Yes, huh?
How tall is he?
He's about 5'11", 178 pounds. I love that name though, Damian Jean-Pierre.
Jesus, Spoonie. Listen, Chris Hogan's probably going to be the second goddamn leading receiver on this Panthers team. Jarius Wright is your number 2. Are you serious? And then Torrey Smith.
God, I forgot Torrey Smith was in the league.
Torrey Smith had more chances than Kevin White.
They shouldn't have got rid of Fun. That was a bad move.
Shouldn't have got rid of Fun.
I forgot he was in the league. Good Lord.
Go sign Dez or Hakeem Nicks. Seriously.
I thought of Dez. I think Dez might get a call. I really do.
He's going to get a call.
Good luck with that.
Don't disrespect. Let's keep it real.
He did that Achilles thing way too late in the season.
That
was October, November.
Achilles,
Go Hakeem Nicks. Go sign Hakeem Nicks. He's from North Carolina.
Nah, let him tear up the XFL, Spoonie. Let him be.
I mean, you gotta treat this man right.
I'm surprised the Panthers didn't go receiver. earlier. I'm surprised. I was shocked.
It's just because they did it last year so early on.
Greg Olsen, my God, he is getting older.
Yeah, that can't rely on him too much.
We will be talking about the Panthers' first round draft pick though as our third question, but before him, we have to talk about CMC. Mr. Christian McCaffrey finishes number 5 in the league in total rushing yards. He finished number 6 last year in rushing yards, and that's while the rushers above him, Mixon, Carson, Gurley, and the others had anywhere from about 20 to 90 more rushing attempts than him. Now CMC enters the 2019 season, I should say, potentially being the main focal point of that offense in a stable of unproven wide receivers, as we just discussed. And Cam Newton, who's trying to redevelop his throwing motion. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. That could also be a perfect recipe for a threesome of disaster this season. Having Cam Newton and developing with these new young, basically it's like a clean sheet of receivers. Also trying to redevelop his throwing motion in his 9th season. That could be a recipe for disaster. His muscle memory is going to come back, and he's going to start throwing sloppy all over the field, doing the new motion, intervening with his old throwing motion, and shit's just going to come out not pretty at all. So CMC, in my opinion, should absolutely see more handoffs than his 219 last year, his 219 attempts, and he will finish number 5 under Zeke, Barkley, Mixon, and Melvin Gordon. So I'll take the push. He finishes number 5.
I'm going with the over. I think he'll finish number 3. It's very possible. Of course, Zeke and Elliott are your 2. I'm concerned about Todd Gurley, how healthy he is this season. Question about his knees and stuff like that. And then Chris Carson from Seattle. Seattle's never really consistent with their running back since the departure of Beast Mode, since he left, Marshawn Lynch. So with that, you look at it, the only guy maybe who'll sneak in there that he may have to worry about maybe is Nick Chubb from the Browns. Other than that, Joe Mixon, excuse me. That's the only guy. So I give him number 3 because he'll touch the ball a lot more.
Well, he's gonna. You're right. Everything Josh just said. This whole team is going to be on Christian McCaffrey's second-year shoulders, or third-year shoulders, I should say, on his 5'11" frame. I'm gonna say over because of what Tim said. Todd Gurley is gonna take a step back. I don't think he's gonna have more yards than Ezekiel Elliott. I don't think he's gonna have more yards than Saquon Barkley. I do think Joe Mixon's going to have a breakout year. Now, there's a guy that, Tim, you did not mention who I believe is going to have another breakout year, and he rushed 4,000 yards last year. I think Phillip Lindsay is going to have a pretty good year this year. And then Nick Chubb, obviously, is a guy who's going to get a lot of carries because, Kareem Hunt is out. And then the emergence, who knows? David Johnson might make an appearance this year because he's been out. Sony Michel might even try to find a way in there because they might have to run the ball in New England more. So, but Christian McCaffrey, here's the thing. If they do this, if Christian McCaffrey ends up getting, 250, 300 plus carries, how many years are you taking off of this guy's career? And that's what I worry about. But that doesn't even matter. I'm gonna say over. I think he finishes in the top 5. I'll say number 4. But it's gotta be. It's kind of like what I said for Alvin Kamara. For his sake, I hope he doesn't. But I think they will because they got to rely on him so much.
I agree with Timothy. Right, I think he's going to be top 3 in rushing. Last year him and Saquon had a ridiculous workload as far as for running back. As far as total yards of scrimmage, and for him to be able to do that too, and you got to look at another thing too is he put on some weight. There was a post, I think, at 4QQ about whether or not he's taking steroids. I mean, he looks a little bit bigger, so I think he's built himself up to kind of carry the load a little bit more. And depending on how this offense is ran, I strongly believe he's going to have more carries, which is going to get more yards, right? I'm going to put Elliott, Mixon, CMC, Chubbs, and I'm going to go crazy. Derrick Henry, my top 5 running backs in rushing yards. So,
Brian and Josh, you guys basically stole my thunder. I'm gonna go with a push. For the simple fact that Zeke and Barkley and Mixon, I believe, will be in that top 5. But you got Melvin Gordon, like Josh said, he didn't play a full season. He was averaging more yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Nick Chubb and Phillip Lindsay, like Brian brought up. They were both averaging more yards per carry. They weren't starters for more than 8 or 9 games throughout the season. I'm surprised that the Colts homer over here didn't even mention Marlon Mack, who only started 10 games. So yeah, there's a lot of running backs here that can step in and jump into that fold. McCaffrey is going to get a much more than 219, so I'm going to take McCaffrey at the push.
Let me mention one thing. Let me just mention one thing that Jason said about McCaffrey gaining weight. He did gain weight because probably he knows he's going to have to withstand the load he's going to get. But I always tell people this. This coming from my experience playing running back. I always tell people this. Gaining weight sometimes is not a good thing because gaining weight could lead to more injuries. It's not good, especially with someone in his frame, especially to the lower extremities. I'm not wishing this on him, and I honestly wish he did not gain however much pounds he put on, muscle, whatever, and he looks good, whatever. But I'm just saying, putting on weight sometimes is not always the answer. But he had to, I guess.
Well, no, I agree with you, and it all depends on. I'm gonna get kind of like scientific, the weight to mass ratio. They call it how your body kind of carries like the muscle mass, stuff like that. I don't think the weight that he added is not gonna be a detriment to like losing his explosiveness. I think I think he might add to it a little bit. I think because he was he was 2-0. What was his weight when he came to the season? He was like 2-0.
Well, he came in at 195.
195. So
and he's gonna be 210, but he's probably gonna play at 205.
So that much weight, I don't think that's gonna be a detriment to like his ability to kind of still be explosive and still be able to carry on that load. Now I agree with you. Like if he puts on more, that could kind of make him slow down a little bit. But because of those reasons, I definitely agree. He's gonna have a heavy workload. I mean, he already had a heavy workload last season. So him adding that a little bit more weight is gonna make him even better.
I can see him bulking up to 213, 215.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be a little muscle hamster back there.
You just said it. Doug Martin put on a lot of weight. Look what happened. Clinton Portis put on a lot of weight for Joe Gibbs's run and gun power eye offense. A lot of injuries. I'm just saying, putting on weight sometimes is not great. That's all I'm saying.
Was that also more towards the end of their careers too, when they were trying to prolong it?
Well, Clinton Portis went over to Washington his 4th year, right? I believe it wasn't too late in his career.
Right, yeah, because Bailey was still pretty.
Yeah, because Bailey was still pretty. Yeah, they got traded.
That's another point too. But I mean, he's still young, so I don't think the adding weight is going to be an issue. Now, later on down his career, maybe later season, adding on weight that could be an issue.
We'll see. Maybe he's an anomaly. Yeah, maybe he just defies physics or something too.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, though. Brian Burns is our next victim for the Panthers, and he's going to produce 6.5 sacks, the first man out of the first round for the Panthers. Now, I went back almost a decade to review the history with defensive ends in Carolina. Starting with 2010, they selected Greg Hardy, number 175 overall in the 6th round. His rookie campaign yielded 3 sacks, and then he had 4 sacks coming in his second season. And then in 2012, they drafted Frank Alexander, 103rd overall. In the 4th. He had 2.5 sacks in his rookie campaign, followed by 1 sack the following year. Never had a career afterwards. Here comes Coney Ely along in 2014 in the 2nd round. He produces 4 sacks in his rookie campaign and 5 the following year. Where we stand now, where he has 15 career sacks in 5 seasons. Deshaun Hall in 2017 comes in the 3rd round, 77th overall. Deshaun Hall has half a sack in 2 seasons in the NFL. Either history is showing us the Panthers don't value defensive ends like the rest of the NFL, or that rookie DEs really get off to a slow start in Carolina. The last time the Panthers selected a defensive end in the 1st round was in 2009, the year before Greg Hardy, and that was Everett Brown. Brown had 2.5 sacks in his rookie year and 3.5 the following year. Everett Brown last played in 2014 with Washington and ended his career with 7 total sacks. if I'm a gambling man, despite Burns' production or outlook at FSU, I'm taking the under on this. Spoonie?
Oh, I'm going to take the over. Doing some research on this, he basically played outside linebacker in defensive end Florida State. Brian, I know you're the college expert. I believe Florida State has some packages in the 3-4, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Okay, so that fits well for the young man coming into the NFL because was that?
No, you go ahead. You're right. No, you're right.
So with that being said, not only that, the depth the team was able to add on the defensive side. You got Bruce Irvin here from Seattle. Okay. You got Jerry McCoy they added just a couple of weeks ago. So now you got Dontae Poe, you got Shaq Thompson, you got Luke Kuechly, you got Marvin Addison on that team, Brian Cox Jr., who basically he's for depth. This team got a lot of depth. Nobody will be gassed at all. This kid, the defense was built for this kid only. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking the over that Brian Burns will get 6.5. I can see 7.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and because at FSU he was everything, and he was probably the only bright spot at FSU last year. It was a terrible season for us, but this kid is he's a talent, and he's probably one of those boom or bust players. I believe he was one of Fogg's boom bust players in Brian Burns because he was such an electrifying talent, but some people were just kind of worried about his weight. Would he be able to move guys in the NFL? Is going to be strong enough? Well, he did put on, I believe, he put on like 40 pounds during the season for the combine. So he did prove that he could. Shit. He put a lot of weight on. Wow. He put a lot of weight on during the season, getting ready for the. Because look, I mean, when you're not winning anything, when you're not winning any games, you start thinking about yourself, right? So it makes sense that he was getting ready for the NFL. But Brian Burns was an edge rushing machine at FSU. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the push. I think he gets 6.5 sacks. I think he's going to get that mark. Oh, wow. Because I think the reason I say that is because Spoonie made a great point. This team has a lot of depth, and he's going to be ready to go. He's not going to be gassed, and they're going to tell him just to go and get the quarterback. That is your number one job, Brian Burns. Go get the quarterback in that league or in that division. That's the key. So I think he's going to get it. I think he's going to have a pretty good year.
Yeah, I agree with everything Spoonie and Brian just said. I think I'm going to give him 7.5 sacks, and because he's an unbelievable talent coming out of college. And another thing too, like he's playing division where he's going to get some very good quarterbacks, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to get to the quarterback. So I'm definitely taking the over. I'm going to say 7.5 sacks.
The guy's got a motor on him. He showed it last year at FSU. 10 sacks, I think, last season. Mm-hmm. I don't see him falling short of 7 or 8 sacks this season, so I'm going to take the over.
Fun fact, Brian Burns was a safety coming in out of high school. Just letting y'all know. So that's tells you that the athleticism he has in that body.
Is it me, or does it just seem like when the Panthers get high stock defensive players for their line, they always underperform from their hype? Like I'm just trying to think of some names like Kawan Short.
Kawan Short, yep.
Kawan Short had a good year last year, though.
He did. He actually progressed a little bit better than he has been playing. But even like star Latutulele coming out with a huge nose tackle name, and then he just kind of became average, kind of fizzled out. Outside of Julius Peppers, like all those other names I said, Coney Ely, Frank Alexander, it just seems like anybody they really draft high, it just kind of just average.
But they always had a good defense too. That's another thing, which is
the linebackers, man. The linebackers have always been huge in Carolina, and that's been a staple for them. They've been lucky drafting really well in the linebacker department.
How many of those guys did Gettleman draft?
You shut your fucking mouth, dog, man. Oh man, we're moving into our last team for the night, and that's the Buccaneers. Our first one is going to be about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin combining for 2,500 receiving yards, fellas. I think it's absolutely bound to happen. Godwin had brilliant flashes last season as a wideout and made it hard to guess he was a rookie. In hindsight, it was almost a disservice to only start this man for 5 games out of the 16. But he does need to work on securing the ball a little bit more with his 4 fumbles. In the same light, the Bucs were the entertainment of the NFL world last season with the suspensions of Jameis, the resurgence of Fitzmagic again, only to get him yet another contract with another team in the league. Had Evans and Godwin had more consistency from the quarterback play, they may have had even better stats than they did last season. Also, with Bruce Arians being there, I imagine quite a bit will get corrected from last season in the quarterback department. The Bucs won't have a successful year, but the wideouts will still accumulate their numbers. I'm actually going to take the over on this for the 2.
I'm going to take the under, only because I believe O.J. Howard will contribute a lot to that passing game. Will be the number 2 option behind Mike Evans. Don't get me wrong, Chris Godwin, he came up great last year, but I just think O.J. Howard's going to step in and take a lot of targets.
Yeah, I'm going to say over as well. I'm going to say over for the simple fact that, again, this whole entire year is going to be predicated on Jameis Winston. There's nothing else that matters about the Buccaneers except Jameis Winston. And I'm going to tie it into Mike Evans and Chris Godwin because I think they're going to eat because Jameis Winston has to eat in order to keep his job. So I think that, I mean, and Mike Evans had the quietest 1,500-yard season I'd ever seen in my life. I barely even knew he had that many yards last year as a receiver, but I'm going to go ahead and say over. I think this offense is going to look a lot different. I think Jameis Winston is going to have his best year. I think Mike Evans might start getting some more respect about being one of the elite, or he is elite, but one of the top 5 receivers. I don't hear his name in top 5 conversations a lot, but he might start getting that respect this year.
I'm going to go over it for the simple fact that they got Bruce Arians. And also, too, they lost some weapons last year. They lost Humphreys. They lost Deshaun. So that's going to, even with O.J. Howard, that's still going to lead to a lot of targets for that three group. And I think that's going to combine for 2,500 yards for those 2 receivers. I'm taking over.
They had almost 2,400 yards last year with Deshaun Jackson taking about 700 and some odd yards away from them. Yeah, this is over.
Are they going to be the highest accumulating wide receiver tandem in terms of yardage this season, fellas?
Yeah. Yes. I will literally.
Let's think about it out loud real quick. Just a little bonus question. Who do you have? You have Odell and Jarvis.
Yeah, Jarvis. Yeah, Julio and Ridley. You have Julio and Ridley. You have
Ridley wasn't big on yards.
Hilton if fun.
But I think Ridley's going to explode this year.
You even got the Rams receivers quietly. I think both of them had 11 or 1,200 with Woods and
Diggs and Thielen.
I like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen too.
Diggs and Thielen. You can even put honestly, I'm not being a homer here. You can put up Juju in Washington because I think James Washington is going to have a big year. I do.
Really? He didn't really make a big splash at all in his rookie campaign.
I think I read an article where he tried again. Kind of goes back to my theory about the weight gain thing. He tried to put on weight last year and it slowed him down. And he has dropped that weight now, and he's back to his college weight where he was doing well in college. So I think he has to because they drafted him to take the place as a number 2 receiver. So I think that receiving core can actually make some noise as well.
And you also got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams at San Diego too.
And
I think for total yardage though, I probably would bet on Evans and Godwin in the yardage trophy. Yeah. I think I would.
Really?
So none of you have no faith in Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Worry about it.
If anybody else throwing the ball, I would have more faith, but no.
Oh, jeez. No. What do we got next? We got Mr. Jameis Winston then. And we were just talking about him. 3,500 passing yards. Let's look at Bruce Arians just real quick. Left Indy for Arizona in 13. He acquires Carson Palmer in his 10th season. And Carson Palmer throws the most yards in his career at that point with 42.74. We all know Arians started with luck in 2012 where the rookie threw for 43.74 in his first year. That season still is his 3rd best in terms of yardage in his small 6-year window. I truly believe Arians can get Winston back to his first 2 years, throwing right around that 4K mark, especially given his receiving weapons. I'm taking the over on this.
Ooh, I'm taking the over. Bruce Arians was coaching Andrew Luck for a while. Am I right, Jason?
You're right.
You're right. Yes, you are.
So after that, he had pretty solid year. Then after that, he went to the Cardinals, and it wasn't too good over there. But then now he's with the Bucs, and Jameis Winston is not a bad quarterback. Just need to, and Jameis Winston finally has a head coach, not a offensive coordinator who was the head coach. I'm going with the over. I think Jameis Winston will get 4,500 yards, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this the whole show. Jameis Winston is going to obliterate 3,500 yards. I really believe he's going to go well over 4,000. I was going to say maybe 4,200 yards this year because of Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich in his ear. And I think Jameis Winston knows he needs to perform this year in order to keep his job, not just succeed, to keep his job as an NFL quarterback, at least a starting NFL quarterback. But, he's going to have to do well this year. So I think he's going to I don't know how successful the Bucs are going to be. I'm not sure how much that's going to accumulate to wins. But Jameis Winston's going to have a career year this year.
I don't have anything else to say. It's over. Too easy. Over. He's gonna shatter it.
Over. It's over.
If he doesn't get over 3,500 yards, Jameis Winston is going to be out the league. I'm telling you right now, he will not be in the league.
If he doesn't get over, if he doesn't get over 3,500 yards, then Godwin and Mike Evans didn't do shit this season either.
I don't know about that. I don't know because they may bench him. Shit. I mean, who knows?
Jameis always got a home in Dallas as a backup. It's all good.
God, I hope it doesn't happen, man. I swear. I'll be so upset.
The last one of the night, fellas. It's going to be about that front four in Tampa. The front four will produce 28.5 sacks. And who's the front four? That's JPP, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh, crazy Carl Nassib, the financial freaking frontier man in Cleveland. But JPP exhausted himself last year, in my opinion, fellas. 12.5 sacks. That means he's good with double-digit sacks for at least another two to 3 seasons. We'll probably see 7 to 8 from the take my strong hand. And Vita Vea will be an interesting development with Suh alongside him. I can see Vea produce the same 3 or even tally 4 to 5 sacks with Suh. But at this point in Ndamukong's career, he's just collecting checks. He's playing at a bit of a high level, just not the elite level he could take it to if he really still cared or gave a shit about the game as much as he does the money. Suh will produce his usual 4, maybe 5 sacks if he's feeling lucky this season. And Carl Nassib is a goddamn goofball. I can't even trust that. Even if he did have 6.5 sacks last year, I can't trust him producing the season. I don't even know how he's on a roster sometimes. Might end up being the best year of his whole NFL career. I see 25 sacks max for this group, to be honest. I'm taking the under.
I'm taking the under. These are guys here that just want to get a paycheck, enjoy the sun in Tampa, and that's it. Noah Spence, what happened? You were supposed to have been that surprise player. 5.5 sacks the first year, which was your rookie year. Then 1 sack last year, and then now you're backing up to Carl Nassib. Oh, my God. Listen, they'll be lucky to get 15 sacks total under.
Yeah, 28 sacks is a lot. I don't see it. I don't see him accumulating 28 sacks. I think JPP has maybe 1 or 2 good years left in him, maybe a double-digit sacks. Carl Nassib, you called it right, Josh. This guy, he's a clown. I'm not a big fan of him either. I don't know about Ndamukong Suh, though. I do think Ndamukong Suh, man, it's crazy because he was looked at as one of the best defensive players in the league for a while there. He got paid like it. But at the same time, Tim might be right. He might be just kind of building his retirement home there right now in Tampa Bay, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's tough because these and Vita Vea, I think, has a great, bright future. Who I think can learn a lot from Suh, hopefully. But I'm gonna go under though, man. I'm not gonna try to go over this one. I'm going under.
Yeah, I'm going under. Listen, man. When I saw this over and under, I honestly, guys, I didn't even know who this Nassib dude was. To be honest with you, I had to research like who is Carl Nassib. And I looked him up. He's 6.5 sacks last year. Man, I mean, it's okay, And it still blows my mind how JPP is able to produce with fucking 7 or 8 fingers. So like, it just blows my mind that he's still like that damn good.
7 or 8.
Huh? What's that?
He says 7 or 8. 7 or 8 fingers.
So yeah, it just blows my mind how he's still able to produce like with 7 to 8.
Disrespectful.
Like, I'll admit that.
I don't know how much you need your fingers to pass. I don't know how much you need your fingers to pass rush.
Oh, hand, whatever. You see his hand? It's like the penguin, dude. It's like, I mean, how could you like?
I don't know him. Can't see me.
Listen, I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm just saying it's impressive that he's able to do that because defensive line have to use their hands, because offensive line they like to hold a lot, right? And I feel like that might be a disadvantage for him, but he's been able to produce so well, and I'm just wondering how is he going to be able to keep that up? Vita Vea, I really like Vita Vea coming out of college. I mean, could stay healthy. And Dominic Sue, yeah, he's getting up there in age. I don't know how much he's going to have there. And I don't know if they have any depth on that defensive line too. Did they draft any other good defensive line in this draft? So I'm definitely taking that. I'm going to say 20 sacks.
Jason over here making fun of the handicap. You're an ass.
I'm not making fun of that handicap. I'm just saying it's impressive that he's able to do that. Please don't report.
I'm not trying to get fooled.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
Hey Jason, real quick, if JPP was over your house and you were sharing a bottle of wine and he was making martinis, would you let him stick a little olive in your glass with his strong hands? Jason, too much Pinot Noir. Can't hear you. Freaking Colt 45 over here.
He would let him use his claw to pop the top of the wine bottle.
You guys
let me take my face off this. I'm not in this making fun of the handicap. I'm not doing it.
I'm not making fun of him.
Making fun of the handicap.
Damn, I can see right now. Would you let him
get it? Help it at all, man. You guys are just making it worse. I've been thinking. Jeez.
So after we got through with Jason just completely obliterating the disabled, I'm taking the under too. I'm with Josh on this. I don't see them getting more than 24 sacks combined. It's Sue is on average 4 to 5. Vita Vea, I could see him. I think he did 3 last season. I could see him getting 5 this season. Nassib, I could see him going for 5 as well. And JPP, look, he had a great season, 12.5 sacks last year. I think he's only cracked double digits twice in his career, if I'm not mistaken. So I could see him getting 8 this season. So there it is, 23, 24 and a half.
6.5, 7. Maybe he'll go down in game 6 and roll around, hold his elbow. That's pretty much it, though, folks. Thank you for tuning in. That wraps it up for the NFC South over-unders for the night. Next week, we're bringing you the NFC West. Then that's it for over-unders. And in the following week, in July, we're going to be starting division predictions, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope all you damn panelists down here bring the same fucking energy and keep it consistent.
I know I will.
Yes, bring that same energy Jason just brought. JPP will have it. JPP will have as many sacks as he has fingers.
My energy will be the same as well as my liquor, all right? So you guys keep the same energy.
NFC West over-unders followed by AFC East divisional predictions the following week. Folks, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, join us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you next week.
These guys.
And we're